Darklings! Now, I've mentioned a dear friend of mine on multiple occasions, and this is said dear friend. Isn't he sexy? I like keeping him around because he's beautiful. He's around to help read some stories from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark with me.
Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Very scary.
So scary.
So he's going to go first.
Fine. Be that way.
Okay.
I'm going to read The Babysitter because this one, I had a lot of babysitters and I used to make them read this.
Oh my goodness.
Because it's scary. Anyway, okay, The Babysitter. There's a picture of a girl holding a horribly misshapen human child.
And if you remember these from your childhood, you'll know exactly what illustration we're talking about.
Yeah. If not, turn to page 69. Okay. It was 9 o'clock in the evening. Everybody was sitting on the couch in front of the TV. There were Richard, Brian, that's my name. No, it's not. Jenny, and Doreen, the babysitter. The telephone rang. "Maybe it's your mother," said Doreen, so she picked up the phone. Before she could say a word, a man laughed hysterically and hung up. "Who was it?" asked Richard. "Some nut," said Doreen. "What did I miss?" At 9:30, the telephone rang again. Doreen answered it. It was the man who had called before. "I'll be there soon," he said, and he laughed and hung up. "Who was it?" the children asked. "Some crazy person," she said. About 10 o'clock, the phone rang again. Jenny got to it first. "Hello?" she said. It was the same man. "1 more hour," he said, and he laughed and he hung up. "He said 1 more hour. What did he mean?" asked Jenny. "Don't worry," said Doreen. "It's somebody fooling around." "I'm scared," said Jenny. About 10:30, the telephone rang once more. When Doreen picked it up, the man said, "Pretty soon now," and he laughed. "Why are you doing this?" Doreen screamed, and she hung up. "Was it that guy again?" asked Brian. "Yes," said Doreen. "I'm going to call the operator and complain." The operator told her to call back if it happened again, and she would try to trace the call, because that's science. At 11 o'clock, the telephone rang again. Doreen answered it. "Very soon now," the man said, and he laughed and hung up. Doreen called the operator. Almost at once, she called back. "The person calling is from a telephone upstairs." Just then, the door opened. A man they had never seen before started down the stairs and towards them. As he ran from the house, he was smiling in a very strange way. A few minutes later, the police found him there and arrested him. Which, as far as these go, that's a pretty happy ending.
Yeah, I know, right? It's not like anybody, died, so that's a bonus. That's a bonus.
It's just scary. And then the next page, this always reminded me of my grandma, and that really freaked me out.
Okay, Darkling. So, this is actually from a different book, which is just on its own. It's called Ask the Bones, Scary Stories from Around the World. Now, this was probably the one that scared me the most as a kid, and it's from Japan, and it's called The Bloody Fangs. So.
Kawaii.
Oh, yeah. Long ago, there was a boy in Japan who wished he were as strong as his brothers. They could work alongside their father planting rice. They could jump and run and climb trees. The boy could not. He was small for his age, and he tired easily. But he had a lively mind and filled his lonely hours drawing. The boy's family was poor and had no money for paper and ink, so he used whatever he could find. He sharpened sticks and scratched pictures in the dirt. He gathered pieces of charcoal and drew upon smooth stones. And what did he draw? Cats. Cats lashing their tails and cats washing their ears, cats stalking mice and cats leaping into the air. His brothers wanted him to draw goblins with hideous eyes and grape-sharp fangs, but the boy never drew anything but cats. The boy's parents realized he wasn't strong enough to become a farmer, so they decided he should become a priest. And why not? Even poor boys could hope to devote their lives to the service of Buddha. One morning, the mother and father walked down to the village temple with their small son. They stood before the door and listened to the prayers being chanted inside by the old priest. They waited until the chanting stopped. Then they knocked. The priest came to the door and asked what he could do for them. They told him they wanted the boy to become his student. The old man smiled. He would enjoy teaching such a bright and eager boy, so he invited him to live at the temple. The boy tried hard to think right and speak right and do right. He learned to recite important prayers, and he kept the temple free of dust. But he couldn't keep his mind on his studies. He had to draw cats. When the sun set and crickets chirped in the grove around the temple, the boy would open the writing box, grind ink, mix it with water, and draw. He could hear the voice of the old priest reading scriptures on the other side of the temple, accompanied by the tinkling of bells. The boy knew he should be studying, but his hands could not be stilled. He drew cats everywhere, even on the walls and on the floor. The priest was not pleased. You have an excellent mind, he told the boy. You could learn everything a priest needs to know, but I cannot keep you as my student. Your heart is in your drawing. You must become an artist. But take my advice, the man said. Avoid the large at night. Keep to the small. What did the priest mean? The boy was too upset to ask. Early the next morning he said goodbye and walked out the temple door. He wanted to go home to his family, but what would his parents think? They expected him to follow the ways of Buddha. How could he tell them that he had failed? So he wandered down the road to the next village where there was a larger temple and more priests. Perhaps they would welcome a young student. When he reached that temple, he was aware of the strange silence. No insects buzzed in the nearby bamboo grove. No temple bells rang, and there was no musical droning of voices from within. The boy knocked at the door, but no one answered. He knocked again, and the door swung slowly inward, so he stepped inside. He was amazed to see the temple was filled with cobwebs and dust. The priests need my help, he thought to himself. I'll wait till they come back. What he did not notice were the paw prints on the floor, huge paw prints, and the marks of sharp claws. All he noticed were large white screens set here and there in the temple. He hurried to the writing box. Never before had he seen such magnificent places on which to draw cats. The hours flew past while he was drawing. Hundreds of cats now decorated the temple. This kid has a problem.
It sounds like my bedroom.
Cats with every marking imaginable, contented cats and snarling cats, huge cats and newborn kittens. It began to grow dark, and still no priest returned. The boy decided to spend the night there, hoping the priest would come back in the morning. He peered around the dim temple. It was the largest place he had ever seen. Suddenly he felt his hair stand on end. Avoid the large, keep to the small. That's what the old priest had said. What did the warning mean? The boy didn't know, but he hurried about looking for a small place and safety. It was growing so dark he could hardly see, but finally he found a small cupboard. At first he thought he couldn't squeeze in, but he wriggled through the opening, pulled his knees up to his chin, and just barely managed to pull the cupboard door shut. There was a decorative grating on the cupboard door, a perfect peephole. He wanted to keep watch that night, but it was far too dark. Besides, he was tired, and before he knew it, he fell asleep. He had barely closed his eyes when something quietly pushed open the temple door and crept inside. Its claws clicked across the floor, and its nose swung this way and that, sniffing, sniffing, sniffing. It smelled boy. And it wanted boy for dinner. It began to scratch at the cupboard door, hooking its claws in the grating, trying to pull it free. The boy woke up to the wildest, screechiest battle he had ever heard. The whole temple was awash with shrieks and howls, the gnashing of teeth, the slashing of claws. The boy couldn't see a thing through the grating in the cupboard door, so he squeezed his eyes shut and curled up even more tightly than before. The terrible battle continued. Wetness splashed through the grating and onto his face. When the boy licked his lips, he thought he tasted blood. It was almost more than he could stand. He now realized that his parents would have welcomed him home. They never would have wished such a terrifying night on their small son. Just when he thought the howling and shrieking would never end, it stopped, just like that, and an eerie silence fell over the temple. The boy didn't get another wink of sleep the entire night. When the sun finally rose, he peered through the grating in the cupboard door. He could scarcely believe what he saw. There were great clumps of hair on the floor, and blood was splattered everywhere. Scarier still was the monstrous carcass lying across the far wall. It was bigger than a cow and had the most hideous face the boy had ever seen, the face of a goblin rat. Now the boy understood why the priests had fled the temple. But what on earth would have torn the goblin rat apart? The boy pushed open the cupboard door and crawled out. He rubbed his aching arms and legs and looked around. Except for the gory mess, everything in the temple looked just as it had the evening before. Or did it? The boy looked up at the cats he had painted on the great white screens, and he saw that every mouth of every cat was stained with blood. Blood of the goblin rat.
Ooh.
It's a good one, right?
That had everything I like.
I knew
Cats,
you'd like it.
Gore.
Gore's kind of your name.
I mean, kind of.
Kind of.
Kind of. I think you should pick one for me to read to the kids at home.
Ooh. Let's see.
That's a good one. What volume are you in right now?
This is Scary Stories 3, More Tales to Chill Your Bones.
More Tales.
Look, how about I pick you one that's like a little bit longer than the one you read?
Oh, I like short stories because I can't really read. I just memorized that before we started filming.
Oh. How about, what do you think of Hello, Kate?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, here we go. Tom Connors was on his way to a dance in the next village. It was a long walk through the fields and woods, but it was a soft, sweet evening, and he loved dancing, so Tom didn't mind. I mean, come on. He had gone only a short distance when he noticed a young woman following him. Maybe she is going to the dance, he thought, and he stopped and waited for her. As the woman got closer, he saw it was Kate. I'm gonna butcher
Flaherty.
this. No, I can't say that. It was Kate. It was Kate.
It was Kate.
They had danced together many times. He was about to yell, "Hello, Kate," and suddenly he remembered that Kate was dead. She had died just last year. Yet there she was, all dressed up for the dance. Tom wanted to run, but somehow he didn't think it right to run from Kate. He turned and started to walk away as fast as he could, but Kate followed him. He took a shortcut across the field, but still, she followed. When he got to the dance hall, she was right behind him. There were a lot of people standing outside, and Tom tried to lose Kate in the crowd. He worked his way to the side of the building, then he squeezed up against the wall behind some people. But Kate followed. She came so close, she brushed up against him, and then she stopped and waited. He wanted to say, "Hello, Kate," just the way he did when she was alive. But he was so frightened he couldn't speak. Her eyes looked into his eyes, and she vanished.
It's pretty spooky.
This reminds me of that time we went to the club and we ran into a friend, but she didn't vanish. She just followed us around.
We are going to pretend that didn't happen. Just for both of our sanities, we'll just pretend that didn't happen.
This story has happened to us in real life. Haunted by the memory.
Yeah. Okay, which one do you want me to read?
Oh, let's go to volume 2. That was the one that was like, I could handle it because it wasn't too scary. And there wasn't this picture on the front of 3.
It's so disturbing.
I don't think, this is original.
That's the first one.
I couldn't read the first one because of the picture on the front.
I mean, the third one has like 3 heads that are all interconnected. That's pretty creepy.
I used to pretty much never read the ones that had pictures near them because I couldn't look at them.
I kind of love all of the pictures.
Oh.
Because they're so disturbing.
The first one in the second book, it's so good. I know it's like a cliche, but it's so good.
Yeah, it's a pretty decrepit looking skull.
We're all about cliches, but I'm going to make you read Hoo-Ha's.
Hoo-Ha's. Yeah, so if you can, that's the illustration. It sucks trying to see them on here. But, oh well. Admittedly, this is only the introduction. This is the introduction.
Wait,
so
what am I thinking of?
I don't know what you're thinking of, so maybe I won't read that one.
Okay. No. There's the one where it's like a joke one, like you think it's scary, and then the end has like the corniest dad joke punchline.
The window washer?
I was thinking of the window washer.
I think the window washer is in this one.
Well, everyone knows that one anyway. Let me find a different one.
This one?
Oh, the Viper.
It's the Viper.
My grandma used to tell me that one.
Well, now we've ruined the punchline for our viewers. So maybe this one's not worth it.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry that I screwed up. It's been like 20 years since it's been like 18.
Old now.
It's been more than 15 years since I last read these, probably.
Oh, it's only been like a year and a half.
Yeah. Oh my god. It's probably been between 13 and 15 years. Anyway, my grandma had these in her library. She still has them there. She's still alive. Not like Kate. You can read the Cats Paw because I like cats a lot.
Yes, we've established this.
Cats are my favorite.
Cats are great. Okay. The Cat's Paw. Somebody was stealing the meat Jed Smith kept in his smokehouse. Every day a ham, or some bacon, or something else was missing. Finally, Jed decided he had to put a stop to it. One night he hid in the smokehouse with his rifle and waited for the thief. He didn't have to wait long, for soon a black she-cat slunk in. She was the biggest cat Jed had ever seen. When she jumped up and pulled down a ham hanging from the ceiling, Jed grabbed his rifle and turned on the lights. But instead of running away, the cat jumped at him. He fired and shot off one of her paws. Jed was sure he heard a woman scream right after his gun went off. The cat began tearing around the room, spitting and yowling. Then she ran up the chimney and was gone. Jed stared at the cat's paw, only it wasn't a cat's paw anymore. A woman's foot lay wriggling on the floor, all shot up and bloody. It's a witch that's been doing it, he told himself. Just then, one of Jed's neighbor, a fellow named Burdick, came racing down the road to get a doctor. His wife's foot had been shot in an accident, he told Jed. She's bleeding pretty bad, he said. The doctor got to her barely in time. People who were there when it happened said she was spitting and yowling just like a cat. Okay.
It kind of reminds me of Cat People, but kind of not.
Which Cat People? The really terrible remake or the original?
Obviously the really glamorous original.
Okay, good. I hope you haven't seen that remake. That was bad.
Nobody has.
I accidentally saw it. That was a terrible mistake.
Accidentally.
As in, my receiver found it for me and said, "You should watch this." I'm like, I don't know. And I watched it.
It's just a really obscure horror movie, so I've seen it. It wasn't good though. I hate it.
It's okay. I accidentally saw the remake of Psycho before I saw the original version, and
That's
that
bad.
was terrible.
Actually,
Vince Vaughn? No.
I'm not going to say whether it was bad or not because I haven't seen it. But,
Don't watch it.
I'm not.
That's my
I'm
recommendation.
not planning on it. I used to read these books under the covers, and I would get too hot, and then I would have to take a break to cool down, and then go back under the covers and read them. Because if I read them on the bed without covers, I would definitely be eaten by monsters.
I mean, of course.
Oh, I always wanted to know what this music would sound like, and I never could read music, so now I can, and I...
You should sing it for us then.
No.
Okay, how about sort of sing it?
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
Oh, wait.
You want to do this one?
Okay.
Yeah, you did
We're
this
going to do
one.
the cemetery soup. On her way home from the market, the woman took a shortcut through the cemetery. Neither of us can read. Have you noticed that? I don't read anymore.
Poor baby.
You don't need it to... You don't need it.
You don't need
Don't learn to read. It's not like I'm an English teacher. There, sticking up out of the ground, she saw a big bone. She picked it up and looked it over carefully. I really can't read.
Do you want me to read it?
No, I'll get there. We can read it together. This will make a very good soup bone, she said. I think I'll take it home. It's perfect weather for hot soup. When she got home, the first thing she did was start the soup. In the big soup pot went water, carrots, green beans, corn, barley, onions, potatoes, a snitch of beef, some salt and pepper, and, of course, the bone. She brought it all to a boil, then brought it down to a simmer. Yum, she said, sniffing and tasting it. I can hardly wait till supper. Suddenly she heard a small voice. Please give me back my bone. The woman paid no attention. Soon she heard the voice again. May I please have my bone, please? I'm going to keep going. The woman was reading the newspaper, and again she didn't take any notice. In a little while the voice spoke up once more. It was beginning to sound angry. Give me back my bone. She kept on reading the paper. Some people are too impatient, she muttered. Once more the voice spoke, but it sounded very angry, and it was so loud the whole house shook. I want my bone back! The woman reached into the pot, grabbed the bone, and threw it out the window. In a voice just as loud, she shouted, Take it! There was an eerie silence. Then the woman heard footsteps scurrying away from the house and down the road towards the cemetery, and she got up and served herself some soup.
I love the funny ones because it's exactly my kind of humor. It's one of the reasons I carried around an R.L. Stine book all the way through 4th grade.
Oh my god, that Goosebumps movie looks so good.
Oh my god, I'm so excited!
At first I was like, I kind of like the old VHSs of like the
know,
the TV
they're
series.
so bad because I saw like a screen cap that was just like Catherine Isabel holding a potato that starts screaming, and I'm like, this was the show that was my childhood.
Oh, I miss my childhood.
Yeah, the 90s.
But the Goosebumps movie, yay!
Yeah, it'll be exciting and ridiculous and stupid, and I'm really excited.
I'm pretty sure it's for people who read Goosebumps as a kid, but now have kids old enough to read Goosebumps. But I'm gonna go see it by myself.
No, you're gonna see it with me.
If you're not working, yeah, you're right.
I will make sure I'm not working.
We have to see it together.
Because it's like...
We should go to the midnight premiere.
We should.
Well, it's not really a premiere because there's not like anything fancy, but we should just go see it like the night it comes out at midnight.
Okay. Okay, I'll have to like make us Goosebumps buttons that we can wear. Yeah, with my button maker.
And we can like bring our books. Just kidding, that's too nerdy.
I only have the Werewolf of Fever Swamp and Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes.
I think I have about 10 of them somewhere.
And I got those from like a library sale at the local library, and they're like 15 cents each.
I was a heathen as a child. I wanted like Goosebumps 2000s, which aren't good, but I was like desperate for them to be good, so I collected them. So I have all those somewhere.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Childhood. Anyway, my dear, my darling, wave goodbye to the viewers.
Goodbye. I'll miss you.
Now you have finally met my
Your
friend.
nightmares.
Yes. Bye, Darklings.